Everything is connected. Energy, science, quantum physics. There's a real heaviness in the air lately. I release all negative energy from my body, mind, and spirit. This beautiful practice of being rooted in the frequency of love, light, and unity. You are that light. You are that magic. You simply need to unlock it.
So I saw this interesting thing on TikTok, and there was this guy, and he talks about simulation theory. Like, have you heard of this?
Where we're living in a simulation kind of idea?
Yeah, so there's a ton of different like types of simulations that people think we're in or whatever. But his channel is about simulation theory. So it came randomly across my thing, and he said, so he was standing in his front, like the front of his house with the door closed and like showing out front, and there's like a road out there. And he says, look, there's nobody anywhere. There's nobody around. Like he talks for about a minute. And I don't know why I even kept watching, but I was like, okay. And then he's like, now watch what happens when I step outside. He opens his door and he walks out, and all of a sudden these cars start coming by like pretty steadily, one after the other. And he's like, I've triggered the simulation to start. And he's like, see if you can start to notice. And then I went to the comments, and it was like a total rabbit hole. Like, people were like, yeah, how come when you drive by houses that have balconies, no one's ever on the balcony? Which is true.
It's true.
Nobody's ever on the balconies. And like, you know how like there's that expression that people come in waves, like if you've ever worked in like retail, like it's kind of a common thing, because it's like you'll have no customers for an hour, and then all of a sudden you have this wave of customers. It's like a thing that people
Firmament.
Yeah, but
Yes,
like people always are like, oh, it comes in waves. Like, I don't know, it's like a saying.
No, yeah, I totally get it, because we used to call it feast or famine. It'd be like everybody, there'd be nobody. There would never be just an equal amount.
Yeah. So like, but these people were commenting on that, about how, if we were in a simulation and we're all like triggering the events around us, that would be an explanation of like why activity picks up, like when we're doing certain things. So I was like, well, that guy's an idiot. He's probably like, just I'm like, he probably is just perfectly timed it to where all of a sudden there was people outside, right? So my back of my house, we have like a lot of windows, and we're on a really busy street. That's actually the thing I don't like about my house. So really busy road. So I looked out back, and granted it was early in the morning. So because I had gotten up with my kids, so it was like, I don't know, 7 a.m, but there's no cars at all. And I'm just kind of looking, and I was like, okay, but I'm going to give it longer than a little bit just to see, So I'm waiting. I probably waited like 3 minutes, which felt like forever. A minute's a long time. So like 3 minutes, I was like, okay, seriously, there's nobody. So I walked over like really close up to the window to like make it apparent that I'm looking outside, and all of a sudden all these cars started coming. I was like, what? We're in a simulation. Hold on. Jason's here. Okay.
Sorry.
I just don't want you to be thrown off and crash because you are deciding to drive and be on this call. Hi, Jason.
Yeah, just to wrap that up, like I don't think he's in the tent back there. Hey.
I mean, let the record show that I am telling Kate not to drive and be on a podcast.
But I am anyway.
It's her own free will.
Right.
We were just talking about simulation theory because I was telling a story about this dude that posts these TikToks about simulation theory. here's what made me bring that up. I mean, I'm sure you were like, that's super random. The reason I brought it up is because you were talking about people at your group that came, and it's like people who like annoy us and then they just keep coming back around in our lives. Like it really does feel like there is something to be said for like that we're all in our own Truman Show, you know? Like
I gotta watch that movie.
you haven't seen the Truman Show?
No.
Oh my
Have you seen
goodness.
it? No,
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
I didn't know there were still people out there who haven't seen
right?
the Truman Show.
Why? Is it like a popular show? Like I watch like hardcore gritty stuff.
No, it's a movie.
Okay.
And
but
it's
what does that guy
well, I can't even
Jim
talk
Carrey.
about it because then I'm going to spoil the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I kind of.
I'll watch it tonight when I get home.
Okay, that's your homework.
Not while driving.
It's just
not while driving. They open a window.
It's just your classic movie about a guy in the old days.
The old days? like pioneer days?
No.
Okay. I'm scared now. Anyway.
No, like the milkman days.
Oh, okay.
Simulation theory. Oh my gosh, Donna's here. You know, I should just I need a doorbell sound.
Yeah.
You know, every time a new person comes, I'm gonna like add it in. Ding dong.
Hello.
Hi, woman of the dark. Long time no see.
I know, it has been a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah. You really are a lady of the dark. Like you're just hiding all the time. I am going to be recording tomorrow with Sam for Zero. You know his other podcast, the spiritual one?
That is amazing, actually, because from your post, your Instagram, your post about the show. How was the show, by the way?
Oh, it was great. It was so fun.
Of course it was. It was.
Yeah, and everyone like who comes to him, like they're all so nice. Like when we're all waiting in line to talk to him, everyone is amazing who came, you know. So that was really cool.
His fan base. His fan base is just. I mean, obviously, we listen to the show, so.
And we're pretty cool.
You're right. That's what I was trying to imply. But no. So I just checked. That caused me to look right back at Zero because I love Zero. I love when he's concentrated on that that subject matter. He hasn't posted an episode of Zero, dude, in Spotify for months. Yes, that you were the perfect comeback.
Well, that's why I was like, so I don't know for sure because he's very like he gave me his cell phone number and I've just been texting him and he's like really short because he's probably really busy.
Right.
And so but I'm like just honored to have a moment of his time. So I'm like trying not to annoy him. And
he's only rolling 8 podcasts a week and flying to different cities every week doing stand up here, however many shows a week. I think the guy's a machine.
I know. So he was like, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, you want to do my premium content? And I said, sure. And I know like Zero first comes out on premium and then Spotify. So that's my guess because he didn't. All I know is we're recording tomorrow. So yeah,
that's so exciting. I told you, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Sorry. Sam Tripoli. He has Tinfoil Hat podcast. Is like what was one of my first favorite like conspiracy. You know, I like the conspiracies, Kate. One of my first like podcasts that I got obsessed with. I went to his comedy show in Columbus and met him after the show, and he's so nice. And this was kind of cool, you guys. I'll share with you guys. So when I was in line waiting everyone to take their picture with him, there were these two ladies behind. Maybe they'll even hear this episode. But they were behind me in line. And Jen actually, who's came on here, Jen went with me to the comedy show. So we're in line and everyone is going on and on about how young Jen looks. It was like really weird. Everyone was like obsessed with her. She was like glowing. So we're chatting with these ladies. So that's why they were talking to us. And then I said, oh, I'm, because I brought a crystal. I brought a heart selenite that has angel wings carved on it, like for Sam's spiritual journey, the angel wings and like selenite for negativity and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm going to give him this. One of the girls goes, wait a minute. She's like, you're the crystal lady that I've heard on podcasts in Strongsville. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh my gosh, I've heard you on a couple of my favorite podcasts. And I was like, wow, really? So it was like I got like recognized, sort of.
That's awesome.
It was really exciting.
I think you should expect more of that probably in your future.
We'll see.
The crystal lady.
Yeah. I know. And then I was like, well, which podcast did you hear me on? And I'm guessing it was Cult of Conspiracy, because that one got me a lot of reach, I guess. But she didn't think it was that one. So I don't know. But yeah, maybe she's listening. Hello. Anyways, this has been 20 minutes of tangents here. How is everyone? Spiritually, mentally, physically?
Good. Full of energy.
You're full of who? Wait, who said full of energy? Donna?
Kate.
Oh, Donna, are you there?
I am. I just came back.
What were you doing? Were you getting tea?
Yes, I was getting some tea.
Oh. Donna left. I think she tried to mute herself, and today's a disaster. Oh well. Oh, see, she's back. Donna, you hit remove instead of your microphone, I'm guessing. Okay. I don't know. But you guys can unmute yourselves. I guess who cares? But this doesn't need to be perfect. I really just want to hang out with you guys, because I don't know about you guys, but it's been kind of like a crazy few weeks. So I feel like, personally me, I was really emotional and going through a bunch of stuff, and then it got better, and I was like, yay, the fog's lifted, everything feels a little better. And I think it was the universe making me deal with some last stuff that I needed to regarding my business. Pretty much everything was around the business. And then lately it's kind of feels pretty steady. I could kind of get on track again, and I started picking up momentum. And then I got really sick, and that's why I sound really stuffy right now. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And so anytime that happens, which I had just talked to somebody who was like, oh, how's your family? How have you guys been sick, health-wise? And I said, oh, I've been great. I haven't been sick at all. And then it was literally the next day, it just hit me. And I felt just exhausted and stuffy, runny nose, fever. So I had to close my shop and stuff, and really just not do anything at all. I laid on the couch and I started watching Selling Sunset on Netflix, if anybody's ever watched that. And the funny thing is, I used to always watch reality television, and then I got deep into conspiracy, and I couldn't for the life of me watch any of that crap anymore, because you just see through all the BS. But it was a nice little retreat into the 3D for a little bit. And with my binging horrible, clearly scripted reality television, it's fantastic. I'm love it. It's my little escape. But because otherwise I'm just 24/7 listening to podcasts and going down rabbit holes and being all crazy, and saying to my husband, we need to start looking for these ingredients in this food, and I'm going crazy, sweeping out all of the whatever in the pantry. So it was kind of nice. So I feel like a few other people I've talked to have been going through this also waves, where it's almost you feel kind of good and you're getting momentum, and then it's like forced hibernation or something. Anybody else experiencing this? Nobody talk at once.
No, I had a day where literally, I mean, for the better part of the 24 hours, just out of nowhere, I was just knocked down. I didn't have the energy to do anything. I wasn't really, other than being flatline exhausted. I wasn't that I didn't feel well, otherwise, you know what I mean? I wasn't sick otherwise, as far as I could tell.
Interesting.
And for me, anytime that's happened, I always equate it to, either something energetic, whether it be a major fluctuation of, I usually go and look at things like the Schumann resonance, the solar flare activity, those sort of things, just and trying to narrow it down, I guess.
Were you able to narrow it down?
No, no. I mean, and that again, and I also, of course, obviously, first and foremost, go off my intuition, and my gut told me that was just, well, not to mention pulling cards for myself, that sort of thing. It kind of came through a week or so prior, like, get your rest, you're gonna need it, sort of thing.
Ooh.
And then wham, just for like a day straight, I was, like I said, just totally out. Just slept most of the 24 hours. And the next day I was fine. The next day I was fine. I was back to where I was, like nothing happened.
Interesting. This makes sense because I feel like we are getting upgrades, as we're switching into the 5D, whether it be like my last episode I put out, and I know Donna, we had talked about this a long while back, but like the crystalline, like switching to like our actual DNA and our genetic makeup in order to be able to transition into the 5D. So it would make sense that kind of knocks you on your ass and you have to like take a day to, allow that to happen. And it kind of makes sense in my case that the universe would have to make me sick, because even if I was tired, I would be still working. So the only way like I'm going to stop is if I'm sick, because I won't go meet people when I'm sick because I don't want to get other people sick. But yeah, I wonder if we had any like big upgrades. I haven't even had time to like process it because I'm just like, yeah. And it was weird that now you're having me like my head spinning because yeah, like needing sleep and stuff, because yesterday I was in and out all day. Like I put on the crap TV, but I just kept falling asleep, and that's the nice thing about crap TV. You don't have to like really pay attention. So, but I fell asleep a bunch too. Interesting. Donna, I want to know if you are experiencing similar things.
I am quite a bit. Had a very similar experience with being very tired with no reasonable explanation, and just really slept, just like he said. And another thing to share that I've been experiencing, and I've shared this with you before, about how thoughts are so important and the words we utter are so important. And now it feels as though any limiting belief or anything that's not serving just not only myself but the collective is coming into my experiences, so that I literally can see it in front of me. And it's almost like slap, you need to release this, you need to let go of this, you need to whatever the case may be. It's literally materializing in my physical experiences all the time. So I feel like I have to be super keen on what I'm allowing my thoughts to be, and kind of being ultra aware because of the power that they hold. And it's been interesting. In and of itself, it's a little bit exhausting because it feels kind of, it just feels big, like a huge responsibility to have to watch everything you're thinking, and knowing that there's such power, and so it's been a exciting time, and it's been exhausting. It's been exhilarating. It's been like this roller coaster. It's like some days I'm like, this is so cool, and other days I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just exhausted. So it's been an interesting ride, but that's what I've been experiencing. Thoughts coming in to the physical almost immediately, and just really being keenly aware of my words, my actions, doing the best I can to keep them where they need to be.
Wow. That's why it's so important for us to have these things, because I didn't, like, I don't know, because I've been sick, which only for 24 hours, but it feels like a week because time is weird these days. But I feel like I kind of like had to unplug for a little bit, and just like be a physical body for a moment. Like, and when you're describing like that roller coaster, Donna, I've been experiencing that like in the same day, like where it's like in 1 hour I'm feeling great, the next hour I feel like I'm so depressed, what's the point of anything, I'm going to quit life, and then it's like the next hour I'm looking out the window at a tree and I'm like, how beautiful is the world, I feel so connected. Like it's like I'm a total like a psycho. Like just so much stuff is like flooding in. And again, I think that's why it's so important for us to talk about this stuff, so that people don't feel like crazy people. Clearly, like all of us are in different places in our lives and physically different places, different states, and we're experiencing the same thing. That's like pretty magical. Kate, do you have anything that you want to say on that?
Just realized I was muted. I don't have the same experience. I went through a period of my life where that happened when I went out to Colorado in the middle of nowhere part. But since then, and more recently, I get like more swells of inspiration and creativity, and less worry about, I don't know, like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Now, instead of getting down, I get angry about it. But so I'll go from one moment like angry about unnecessary nonsense to, you know what, the heck with that, we're going to do this instead. And then like, start like this book I'm starting, or painting, or something creative. Or when I feel tired, I can't rest where I live because of circumstances, so I go to nature. And the minute I'm just, down at the little park, even by the Starbucks, sometimes I'll get my coffee and sit there and look at the trees, and then I just feel fine. I don't know, it's a weird, like it's a nice neutralizer, and then I go back and feel inspired to create something, which is more steady than usual. I used to get a lot more bogged down in, well, it shouldn't be this way. Now I'm like, well, it is. We'll do this instead. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, I think you're explaining exactly what we just said we're going through. So you said, it's funny because at the beginning you're like, I don't think I'm experiencing the same thing. And then it's like your emotions are all like up and down within the same day.
I don't get tired though. I don't get fatigued. I get, that's the thing I was talking about. Like, I don't get that weariness feeling.
Well, it sounds like you get introspective. So it's still kind of like, it's almost like it's interesting because I said it's like I needed to sort of go into the 3D so that my body could go through whatever. That sounds like that's what you're doing, just not by laying on the couch and watching Selling Sunset.
I mean, there was a time in my life, like when I first went out to Colorado and lived on the side of the mountain, where I was fatigued like that. But I knew that, which is why I went there. I said, okay, I actually told people I need to hibernate. And I went out there and just was with the environment, to get that like super deep rest for yourself, and I don't know, I guess I don't sleep very much in the first place, so I don't often get too tired. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think that when instances like this happen when everyone's describing things and you have a different way of dealing with it, but it seems like it's still along the same lines, that these are really good opportunities to kind of start to identify our gifts. Because it sounds like some of us maybe felt the need to sleep or rest, and you said it gave you almost like a creative flurry. So what I would want you to do is like start to look at those patterns of so did you get your Starbucks and then you kind of plugged into nature? How did you feel in that moment looking at those trees? And then what kind of creativity flooded out of you as a result? Because I know, like, for me with the ups and downs, it's like, because when I'm working, that is my creativity, like I'll be like, I'll think of a workshop and and my husband's always like, why do you like, just, you need to just stop for 2 seconds, like stop. And I'm like, I can't, I have to, like, write all that stuff down. But that, so that's a similar thing happening to you with wanting to create and everything. So it really is all kind of the same thing. Only difference is it sounds like you understand how to detach from your body without needing to sleep. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you've found other ways to plug in and recharge because you're plugging into the earth, it sounds like.
I think that's right. And you know where that came from? Back in Colorado when I learned about that. You just did a video about it, the Yoga Nidra. I think of doing that, like, you probably shouldn't do that while you're driving, but like, I think of that sometimes, like, I feel stressed, so I'm just going to quiet down parts, detaching from it.
Interesting.
Weird maybe, but yeah. It's
No, weird is what makes us amazing. It's that stuff. And that's, part of what I love doing, like within mentoring and everything, because as I say, everyone has gifts. Everyone has some sort of intuition. Everyone has some sort of healing. And gosh, I'm just getting like stuffier by the minute. Well, my nose. Sorry. I'm gonna edit that out. My snotty nose. Um, horrible. But see, I can't sound like this tomorrow with Sam. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna have to like neti pot it. Hopefully, I'll make it through the day. Maybe I'll be better.
You'll be fine.
I'll
Yes,
steam it in
you'll
the
be
shower.
you'll be in good shape. You'll be in good shape and getting lots of good vibes sent to you from all of us, I'm sure.
Okay. I'll tell my angels to cure my nose. Okay. They'll cure stuff when I sleep. Anywho, so individual gifts. So like when I'm mentoring or whatnot, that all of those things, when people come in and they're frustrated with, like, well, I don't understand why everyone, when they talk about meditation, they, experience X, Y, and Z, because I'm only experiencing this. And so many times I'll be like, well, hold on. Let's talk about that. And when we peel it back, what they're experiencing is a piece of something so much more profound and significant if they would just stop trying to like fit into these boxes. And I think that that's just everything with our spiritual journey. We are all this unique soul thumbprint, and we all do everything our own way. And that's why, like, when people say they want to be healers and they come to me and they're like, so I'm going to maybe do Reiki. I'm like, well, are you called to do Reiki or do you just want to heal? Because there's a million different ways. And, like, that's not going to speak to everyone in the exact same way. So, point being that no, we're not weird. Those are like our beautiful quirks, Kate, that help us. It's like these little hints that we left our human selves to be like, don't forget that you are magical in this way.
I like that. That sounds good.
Yes. Any other thoughts on that stuff, people?
I just had one when it comes to the word tired. It's not really the right word for where I sometimes experience it. There's tired as in I worked out, I went to work, did all your 3D stuff, right? And you go, and then you're tired. This was more of a So chilled out that the desire to do anything other than be introspective just wasn't even an option. It felt different.
Yeah, I think and Kate, I know you've shared on this show before that she's on the spectrum. Is that okay to share?
Oh
Otherwise,
yeah, that's fine.
Otherwise, I'll cut it out.
You're fine.
Uh, so, and actually, note, Kate, you've helped me kind of understand my 6-year-old son better in a lot of ways when you explain to me the way that you're always like, well, my brain works like this, and you explain stuff, and it helps me kind of a little bit with him too, because my son is also on the spectrum. Both of you like are kind of similar, like highly intelligent and just very literal with things too.
Yes.
So I think that I love, Donna, that you just said introspective, because that's the key. That's the key word. It sounds like it was a way just, again, depending on our individual selves, how we need to do those things and decompress and go inward, that our souls knew what to have our bodies do, but that was the key, the introspection.
Exactly. And that's what tied with what Kate was saying and what you were sharing with her, in that hers maybe the nature and the creativity, where somebody else's might be being a hermit for a day and having all your devices away from you and just being quiet, and that's where the refreshing, whatever, whether it was my body, my spiritual process, things that were changing on all fronts, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, it didn't really matter. It was just, I knew it was necessary and I knew I needed to get quiet. And when I did, that in itself was refreshing, and there was a lot of clarity that came out of that. So I've been talking with a lot of people too about how it's been going the last few days. And a lot of people have shared with me that whatever they're feeling seems to be magnified as well. So they have moments of grief. And it's not just a little bit of grief, it's a very deep, intense type of grief. And they're like, where is this coming from? It's not matching my physical. I have nothing in my physical reality right now that, from my perspective, would match this emotion, quote unquote, and these feelings that I'm having, and they're so intense. So that's been kind of interesting to hear, that everything seems to be a little bit magnified by a lot of people in what they're feeling. I don't know if anybody else has felt that or heard that, but that's what I've been hearing from others as well.
Yeah, I think that this is all part of the Earth's awakening, that we've been going for so long on these individual paths, and then it seems like so many people all over the world have felt this need to make these like little hubs for community. And I think the reason for that is for the support, so that we all can understand it. It's like Source, God, didn't want us to think that we're going through these things alone, because your original awakening is a very inward experience. It's you realize you're going through it, and it's like no one else understands, and then you can, yes, find community, but still, and you relate to other people, and it's nice to know, okay, so I went through a spiritual awakening, but it's like your experience. But right now, I think that people who are of a certain level of awareness are so plugged into the frequency and how we're rising and ascending, that we are feeling collective feelings. And it's almost like the earth is as the earth wakes up, we know that ascension has to do with consciousness, or that's what we in the spiritual community believe. So if the earth is developing more of a conscious awareness of us and connection to us, because we've always been able to connect with the earth, I think the earth is connecting with us. So it's like the earth is having feelings, we are having feelings, other people are having feelings, and we're all feeling it all. And I think that's why it's like these waves. And I think also like that's why sometimes like it's too much and it's like this wave of exhaustion or a wave of grief, or maybe we just a wave of anger. And we're all kind of like trying to navigate and get this out best we can. But, and I just, yeah, my highest self is talking. The earth is going through it too. Like, look at all of the weather and the fires and the weird, like, I mean, I haven't even like believed the weird snow, and the temperatures are like way colder than average. And, these things are happening kind of all over. It's almost like the earth is also having a little temper tantrum. The earth is waking up and the earth is kind of pissed at everything that's happening because we're all connected. That's God, that's source, that's everything aligned. So I think that is what this is. We are experiencing awakening like never before because the earth is waking up.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I was going to say, we were talking, a couple people and I were talking about how none of us have seen birds all winter. We haven't heard them chirping. We haven't seen them. And then yesterday morning I came outside and I have a crabapple tree right outside my kitchen window. I have never seen so many robins in one place as were in that tree the next morning. And then today there were even more. It was just like an explosion of robins like I'd never seen. And I mean, I thought it was super cool. But does that relate kind of to what you're saying, like things waking up? Or
I think so. And also it just made me think, if we are craving community, why couldn't the animal kingdom be craving it as well? Like they're coming together for support also. Because if we're feeling this, they must be. If the earth is feeling this, the animals are. So that's interesting. I feel like that's something we should all be on the lookout for, identifying. I think that stuff's going to pick up. Almost abnormal behavior with animals, I would imagine,
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I think you touched on it on I think it was your last episode when you were discussing the Schumann resonance and how that affects, everything from whale and dolphins migration patterns. And you know what I mean? There was a lot when it first started happening, there were a lot of scientists, the people tracking that stuff were like, what the heck are they doing? You know what I mean? Why are they here? Until they finally figured out and kind of correlated it, or found a correlation, I should say, at different times to the Schumann resonance. But
yeah, it's fascinating, the Schumann resonance, because I do think that there's a connection between that and the firmament. And I do wonder if as the earth ascends, is the earth's vibration going to raise? Because if you, in my last podcast, I don't think I got too deep into it because I tried to kind of like cover a bunch of stuff. But if you measure like a human being's frequency, our heart, like in our chest space, is very closely, it's like 7.4 hertz, and then the Schumann resonance is 7.83. So, but then our heads, so like our third eye crown chakra space is like 11 or 12 hertz, which is interesting. So as the frequency rises within us, is that number going to go up? Is the Schumann resonance number going to go up? And then it makes me wonder, because frequency is definitely tied to dimensions, because we're saying that we're rising from 3D to 5D. Is this how almost, the heavens open up and other dimensional beings, angels, whatever people think are coming? Is that how, all of this starts to happen? Because it's almost like it's going to dissolve. And have you guys seen the videos of people who are saying those giant pieces of ice that are falling out of the sky?
No.
No.
Yeah. Like you can look up, someone posted a video in Florida. Giant piece of ice fell and went through their roof, put a big hole in it. And they explained, like the scientist explained it by saying it's coming off of planes. But people were like, that doesn't make any sense because it's in Florida and the ice technically should have like melted off already if it was in a cold place. Like it shouldn't sheet off. I don't know. They explained it all sciencey. But a lot of people are saying, they're like, it's the firmament, which is interesting. I'm open to it.
The firmament, like as in like the firmament failing, like
So
gaps, holes.
yeah. So like if we look at the Bible, talks about the firmament and that this is what is between us and heaven, Um so people speculate, and of course you can get into like flat earth stuff too with firmament and how it explains, but I mean I do think we're like more of a snow globe deal. But I think that people have been trying to like get to heaven forever. I think that that's what all of these treks to space are and all of that. But that this is impenetrable, this firmament. And in the end times, it is supposed to like, break down. Because that would make sense to me when angels and demons were coming and things like that. So,
Right.
I don't know, something to think about. But it is just interesting, like, because that's not the only thing. Like, I don't know, you can look it up. I think it's happened in a few different places, this giant pieces of ice. And then also like all these people, and I haven't looked too deep into this, but this is another thing if people want to go down that rabbit hole. People are reporting like portals everywhere. Are you seeing those videos? Like people keep showing all these like lights in the sky, and like it's a light and it gets really, really bright, really, really big, and then it almost like swallows like and then like goes back in. And people were saying it was like stuff with SpaceX or I don't know, but there's definitely like weird ass stuff going on is all I know. And I don't know exactly what it all is, but it's worth keeping an eye on because I think that we're in a historical time, and if anything, it's just absolutely amazing, all of these things we're witnessing.
While you're talking, it makes me think of when I'm in southern Colorado, and it's one of the international dark sky areas, and the stuff you can just see happening in the sky, like you can't see that here, and I don't know if that's relative or not, but like watching it, like lightning will come down and strike the top of the mountain, which is this part of the land in the country has been that way for millions of years. It has not changed from glaciers and things like that. So it's still the same rock that somebody walked on a million years ago, and you can feel, like you were talking about the resonance, you can feel, like I had mentioned to you, like the heartbeat of the mountain, when you're out in a place like that. And so I wouldn't be surprised, I don't know, anything can happen really out there.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
sit on the porch of the cabin and you just see the open sky with no light interference, and if any place you could see something happening, I would imagine it would be there.
Yeah, I mean we live in a magical place. We really do. It's like all around us, and it's terrible. We get trapped in the 3D, and miss the magic. Jason, what were you going to say?
That's kind of the point, though, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of their end game, to keep us from figuring out our own magic.
Escaping the Matrix.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Keanu got it right.
Well, yeah, because he's, a really old vampire, so. Or something. I don't know. I like him, though. He's cool. Donna, what do you think? Oh, and Kate hasn't seen the Truman Show. Because we were talking about simulation theory. There's something to that. Especially like with putting our thoughts out and having them manifest.
The thing on the thoughts that's interesting is we were talking about, let's just use Kate's scenario with the birds. So one day you'll have this passing thought, I haven't seen birds in a long time. And then the next day you see a bunch of them. Or you can go through like a dozen of those in a day, right? You have this thought, and then the next day or two, it shows up. Now, is that because you're aware, because you had that initial thought, so it somehow allows awareness to be there? Or what is the connection between that thought and then it showing up? And some of it is just, from my perspective and sense of things, it is magical, because it doesn't really even matter the answer. Sometimes it's just the magic of where we are, and if you have eyes to see the beauty in things, and you're going out, like you said, in Colorado, and you're looking up at that sky, sometimes I just feel like, for me, I want to analyze it and figure it out from my head. And that's when I lose the magic. And maybe there's just not always going to be answers. And I don't know, a while back, and Tiffany, I think I shared this with you, I just shifted out of the whole seeking thing and trying to find answers for everything, and just really have been intentional about just showing up and seeing what's presented and trying to find the magic in it. It's not always easy, I'll say that, but if the intent is there, it seems to be working pretty good if I stay focused on living my life intentionally and seeing that type of magic. I don't know why those things are happening, but a lot of people are saying those are just examples that a lot of people would explain away as coincidence, or you're just looking for that or whatever. But who cares, really? I mean, if you find magic and beauty in it, maybe we don't have to understand everything right now. Maybe we just, like you've always said, Tiffany, just show up and be that light. It's as simple as that. And sometimes we make it more difficult and more, not difficult, but maybe a little more complex, I guess I would say, than it needs to be. Does that resonate or hold any truth for anybody else?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like what you say about not having to understand it, just enjoying the awesomeness of it.
Doesn't it sound so simple to do? But for me, it's not. I'm have a very strong aspect of myself that's very analytical and wants to have all the answers before I jump in. And I'm really intentionally working on just being, period. See what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the challenge, because it almost shows us, it's like the universe is showing us how easy it is to manifest and make change, because it is really easy to just casually think of an animal and you see it, or, and see all those little correlations. But then we try to understand, how is this working? Why? Blah, blah, blah. Now I'm going to try to manifest money. Why can't I manifest abundance? Because we're so like in our heads. And it really is, it's something about like, soft pitching something out into the universe casually and being like, well, I don't really care. You can come back if you want, you know. And it's like that, I think that is the energy we need to have. So it's so hard because you have to have that balance, and you know, and when it's stuff we care about, we do put thought and energy into it. So yeah, it's like everything is the same tiny thing over and over again, if that makes sense.
Totally.
You know?
And it is balance. And I feel as though like the neutral zone is a good place to be. You know,
Yes.
not having your emotions super high and being attached to anything, but not kind of getting caught up in the 3D nonsense that doesn't matter at all, but just kind of riding the wave and going with the flow to the max right now. Like we're all striving and want to do that all the time, but for whatever reason right now it's like neutrality and balance and just show up, period. Passing thoughts, let them float out there. They show up tomorrow, cool, look at that, isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. I think that is why we're supposed to be living, you know, the embodiment of what we want to be. So that way it's casual. It's like if you want to be successful and you want to stop struggling, be successful. Like, you know, because if you want to see a bird, like you're not putting that much energy behind it. Like, oh, let's see if I see a raven today. And but you need to do that with everything. You know, it's just like, well, I am successful. And just walk through life in that balanced state.
So without the attachment to the outcome.
Yeah, exactly. No attachment to the outcome. Exactly. Yeah, our attachment, that's very profound, because I think everything is kind of about losing that attachment, right? The attachment to things, attachment to ego, attachment to what we're trying to manifest. Yeah. That's super true. Okay. Only a little bit after 9, but I'm going to make this a short one because I'm just stuffier by the minute. And I'm like, can't stand the sound of myself. It's not sexy phlegm. Like, I don't know if anybody else watches.
Is there such a thing as sexy phlegm?
Well, I don't know if you guys watch Friends. But there's this episode, it's so good, where Phoebe's sick and she's like, my sticky shoes, and she's like, oh, she's like, my sexy phlegm. And she's like, oh, I just love how sexy I sound. So
I love Phoebe.
Goodness.
Gotta love her.
So, but I just feel stuffy. I think it's sexy phlegm. It's just phlegm. All right, but hello microphone. You guys can't see it because it blends in. It's like my little mystery mic. Okay. I'm gonna pull a card real quick for our intention for the rest of the week, so that we can get a little guidance. Our guidance is root chakra, rooting down into the earth. Of course it is. But also a little note to find our inner strength and courage. So I know a lot of people I've been talking to have felt tested in several ways lately. So I think that this is kind of telling us to stay strong, root. And I think that that's kind of like what we've just been talking about. So find like that way to root into the earth in order to kind of release the things that we don't need. Find like our inner strength, our inner peace, and our courage to speak our minds, our courage to stand in our truth, and our courage to really shine and not be afraid to listen to our intuition from this like rooted, grounded, level, balanced place. How does that feel, you guys?
That's a beautiful recap, I feel, of everything that people have been sharing tonight. That was awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for coming on. Sorry that I am a stuffy mess. I didn't sound this bad when I started.
No, you didn't.
just kept getting worse. It just kept getting sexier, Kate, by the end of the day. But thank you guys. And thank you everyone for joining us. If you want to be on these sexy calls, join Patreon. Call 1-800. All right. I need to go to bed. All right. But thank you. Seriously, you guys. I am ending the recording. You can stay for a second if you want, guys. Bye, people listening. Candy ginger. You mean like ginger candy?
Like it's made, you know how like dried pineapple? It's like that. So good in there.
Like when people have like seasickness, they use that stuff. So it's been kind of crazy. So the heat, then power, then I got super sick. So
What?
I had to, I like really bad cold, like basically just my throat was killing me. I'm on the mend. That's why I even sound like stuffy today. So we ended up getting, a guy to come out and fix the heat before the kids went to bed, luckily. But like before that, I was worried, and I said, okay, it looks like we'll probably end up just blowing up some air mattresses and we can have a little sleepover in the living room. My 13-year-old, almost 13-year-old, he'll be 13 on Friday.
Oh, wow.
But he acted like I said, let's snuggle all night. Like he was like, no, like it was like the most horrible suggestion that I could possibly have. Like he was like, I'm not having a sleepover with you guys. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was worried about you guys freezing to death, but go to your room, I guess. That's cool.
Everything is connected. Energy, science, quantum physics. There's a real heaviness in the air lately. I release all negative energy from my body, mind, and spirit. This beautiful practice of being rooted in the frequency of love, light, and unity. You are that light. You are that magic. You simply need to unlock it.